So now let's say someone like me and I want to buy my first property. So walk me through the exact steps I'll need to go through from getting pre-approved to all the way to closing and actually getting the keys in my hand.
So the first step would be, I would suggest if you're a first-time buyer, you're looking to go and stay inside your property, the one thing you do is find a real estate agent. Okay. So you find a real estate agent. That agent would then, they should hook you up with a lender, a mortgage lender. So a lot of people think that whenever you get a house, you go straight to Chase Bank or you go to Wells Fargo, you go to the bank. No, that's not what you want to do. You want to go find a mortgage broker who will be able to go and fish and find lenders for you to be at a good rate. So the main thing that you want to take a look out for when you're buying a house is the interest rate. So that's what the mortgage broker is going to help you do. So they're going to evaluate all your money coming in and going out. So
what are some of the documents that they need in order for them to actually go through and verify?
Yeah. So when you get hooked up with a mortgage broker, they're going to look at your financial situation. They're going to take a look at your credit. They're going to look at your pay stubs. They're going to take a look at your W-2s, ID, identification. The main thing that they're looking for is this person financially solid to go and buy a property? And so when you're going through the pre-approval process, they're going to take a look at a whole bunch of documents and see, okay, how much can this person afford? Does this person own a car note? How much are they paying rent right now? Do they pay child support? Do they have student loans? They're taking a look at all these things. Okay, how much money is this person bringing in? If I'm bringing in, $5,000 a month and my expenses are $4,000 a month, it's not going to be a lot of, property you can afford. So the main thing that I tell all my friends to do is, stay low as much as possible, as long as possible if you're looking to get a house, because, when you start taking these different loans out, it kind of hurts your long-term plan whenever you're trying to buy a house. So the mortgage broker is going to take a look at all that. They're going to give you a pre-approval letter, and they're going to say, okay, so-and-so is approved for this amount of money or this amount of value in a property, and that's when you'll take your letter and you give it to your realtor, and then y'all start shopping.
All right. So, for example, the letter will be like, Faithful is approved for $200,000 house, and then I give that to my realtor, and then we start looking at the properties I want to buy. So now, let's say I find a property, right? And I'm like, okay, let's say we want a house hack, right? Everybody wants a house hack. So let's say I find a nice little 2-unit, and I'm like, okay, this 2-unit looks good enough in a decent enough neighborhood to where I see myself staying in. Now, what are the steps for me? So once I tell my realtor, okay, I'm considering this property, what are the next steps in order to make sure I'm going in with the least amount of risk and maximizing the amount of profit? What metrics do I need to start looking at then? And things
so if you're looking at house hack, I think first it depends on the value of the property, number one. If you're going to house hack and you're going to finance your property, you got to look at how much you're going to be spending monthly on your mortgage. So if I'm spending, let's say I'm trying to house hack and I'm approved for $200,000, and I find a house that's at $200,000, more than likely I'm going to be paying maybe $1,700, $1,800 a month, right? So if you're going to go in house hack, you're going to rent the other room out. I mean, what's your goal as far as house hacking? Are you trying to just minimize your monthly rent costs, or are you trying to eliminate it as a whole? If you're trying to eliminate it as a whole, you can rent that other room out for $1,700. Not really. So when it comes down to house hacking, because I thought about doing it for my house too, and that's one of the reasons why I picked it too, was because it's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and if I wanted to, I can rent it out and still make profit from it at the end of the day. So I think as far as that, it comes down to financing, and then also you got to look at the area. I mean, what are other people renting their houses for too? So I looked around my area. I think people are renting it out for $1,700 to maybe $1,800 for the whole house.
Wow.
So so it's pretty good around here. So that's really the main two things I looked at. As long as your house looks good, it's updated, you should get a tenant pretty quickly.
All right. Now let's say I do all that, and I'm like, okay, the numbers work out for me. I'm just trying to reduce my cost of living. I'm gonna house hack. I'm gonna get this property and all that stuff, right? Now, what do I go to make sure the property looks good? Like because you want to make sure you do the look around and the cosmetics all look good, and make sure there's no foundation issues. The roof isn't about to take off, your water heater isn't damaged. So what are the steps to go about?
So usually when I'm looking at a property. You want to walk down the whole house,
the whole thing,
from start to finish. So the one thing I do when I get out of my car and look at the property, I step back and look at the roof.
Okay.
Do I see if there's any delamination between the shingles of the roof?
Okay.
So I look around, try and compare it to other houses to see, if it's in bad shape or not. So the roof is one thing. When I'm walking around the house, I'm taking a look to see, are there any cracks in the bricks?
Right.
So that's one of the main indicators when it comes down to foundation. If you see any type of cracks through the roof, more than likely the foundation issue. Sometimes it's a big issue, sometimes it's not. But you definitely want to take care of that because that could cause some issues to your house. So you're walking through your house, you take a look at the floor plan. Is the floor plan, feasible?
Right.
That's one of the things when it comes down to when an assessor, somebody who's coming to evaluate the value of the property they're looking at. Do you still have a wall in the middle of the room? That's not really feasible. So they take a look at things like that. So if you have like nowadays the thing is like open concept.
Yeah. Right.
If you have an open concept room, everything is good. So that's another thing you want to take a look at. And then usually when you look on the side, everything's pretty much cosmetic. If you're looking at your living room, bedroom, master bedroom, and then take into account personally the type of person you are. Do you want a big old closet or do you want a small closet? You want a big master? Are you looking to rent it out? Is it feasible? Would you see somebody else living here? The other thing you want to take a look at is the AC unit. That's also a big ticket item that's usually a hassle for most people. So taking a look at the AC units, when the warranty is, and if you can get a deal somehow like that. I think that's pretty much it.
Now, what has been so far the biggest problem you faced while being in the real estate industry?
Probably contractors.
Contractors?
Yeah, that one.
Everybody says so.
That one hurt me pretty bad because at the time, I think my second property, I got the property by doing a hard money loan. And so when I was paying that monthly payment to my lender, it wasn't going towards the equity of the house. It was just interest, and that was pretty much it. Yeah. So that one was hurting me. I think I was paying maybe like $950 every month, and that's on top of my rent that I'm already paying too.
Ooh.
So that one hurt me a lot, and then having to manage them too. So that's my biggest worry as far as real estate goes is that contractors, because they make it break it.
Okay, that's a really good point. So let's talk about some of the biggest misconceptions people have in real estate that you've seen so far.
Starting off the bat, I know I mentioned it earlier, but buying a house all cash. A lot of people didn't know of loan programs that are out there to where you can put all the way down to 0% down, depending on your classification, the things that you've been involved in. Either you're a veteran, you're investing in the farmland, things like that. Let's see, another one probably be, what's another one? Probably mobile home investing. So not in that sense, but a lot of people on Twitter were talking about they bought a house for $10,000, $20,000. Like, unless you live in it in maybe North Dakota or something like that, that's not usually the case if you're living in the city. So cities like Dallas, Houston, all the big cities, there's nothing gonna be like $10,000 unless you find a very good deal or know somebody.
Right.
But mobile home investing is it's a viable option depending on the type of people that you want to work with. You gotta have pretty thick skin to work with a certain class of people. That one. What else? I feel like HGTV glorifies investing, and to an extent, it's good to get people interested in real estate because that drives the market. But it's not as easy as it looks. Managing contractors is I've talked about it a lot on this episode, but managing contractors is probably a big hurdle. So you have to have time, flexibility to be able to manage people. And once you find somebody that's good, then you're pretty much set for your real estate journey as long as they're still in business. But yeah.
All right, so now walk us through how you're planning for the future, right? So you hear about You know, how the market might, there might be a recession this year, there might not. You know, how are you strategizing? And, you know, for those who want a house hack out there, you know, people like me who are just kind of like, you know, sitting on the sideline trying to wait till the market crash, you know, what would you say to them?
Yeah, it's funny because before I got my house, I was still in the Airbnb for a little bit. And I was talking to, I guess, the landlord of the Airbnb, and we were both talking about the same thing because she was trying to buy a new real estate property here. She wanted to wait till after the market crashed to buy. But honestly, I mean, the way things are going now, I don't think it's crashing anytime soon, at least not due to real estate. Right. Because after the 2008 crash, like, a lot of policies were put in place by Obama to make sure that kind of stuff doesn't happen again. And then also you got to look at what caused the real estate crisis too. I mean, a lot of lenders and bankers were loosening up requirements like crazy.
Crazy janitors were owning $1 million homes.
Exactly. You saw it. Yeah, you saw it on what's it called? What's the movie? The Big Short. Yeah. If you watch that, you'll see like, the most poorest people was able to get crazy houses. So like, I think they've learned a lot from that situation alone. So if it does happen, I don't think it'll be related to real estate. So I think with evaluating properties and planning for the future, I think you just got to get in. I mean, you can't have analysis paralysis and stay in the same position for a long time.
Right, exactly.
So because you'll end up, because when you think about it too, appreciation. Well, I know you said you're not big on appreciation, more cash flow.
Yeah, right.
But when you look at appreciation, you know, the constant between appreciation is time. You know, the longer you hold property, the value you're gonna increase. So the longer you're on the sideline, you know, you're missing out on your opportunity for the values to go up. And I mentioned it earlier too with the house that I bought here. I got it for $195,000, and there's already people listing their own properties out here that aren't updated like mine, and they're selling up for $225,000, $215,000. So if those houses get sold, not only brings my appreciation up. So
and going forward, I want to understand, like, how are you trying to structure your future and everything in that nature?
As far as what I'm doing to kind of mitigate my risk in 2020 and onward, it's just always coming up with an exit strategy. To be honest, if the market was to crash today and, you know, the values went down, I mean, what would I do with this house? I'd probably start renting it out. Because, you know, history has proven that once a crash happens, people stop owning houses and people start renting. So all I do is just rent my house. So, you know, with any investment you make, even if you're going to go buy a car, you know, always have a strategy on how you're going to approach it and the exit strategy. I mean, if the numbers don't work, the numbers don't work. And so I think in real estate, a lot of people, once they've been looking for a long time and they think they found a good deal, and the numbers are they're iffy, you know, you can't let your emotion get into it. You know, if the numbers don't work, the numbers don't work. Don't try and force anything. And that's the type of approach I've been trying to take with any investment I do going onward. So when it comes to the market and it crashing, me personally, I don't see it crashing anytime soon, just because I think that the lenders and bankers have learned a lesson back from 2008. And then on top of that, Obama, he's also put in laws and things in place to make sure it doesn't happen again. So with that, from my perspective, in my opinion, I don't see it happening anytime soon. I don't think people should have analysis paralysis either. I mean, gauge your situation accordingly, of course. Make sure that the numbers make sense. Make sure your market makes sense. But don't think about it too hard. I mean, take the first step, learn. I mean, we're all young. We're all still young. You know, we all still have our jobs. So take the first step. If you take an L, you know, you can pick it back up. You know, that's the kind of approach that I've been taking with even all the businesses I tried. I tried trucking. It didn't go like how it was supposed to go. I tried e-commerce twice. It didn't go how it was supposed to go. You know, I lost a couple of grand from each of those, but, you know, those are all lessons that I've learned. I know how to market properties, market my businesses. I now know how to, you know, run a trucking company if I ever needed to do it again. So, I mean, even though you take L's, there's always a lesson in the L.
That's all I say. L stands for lesson.
Exactly.
L stands for lesson. It's not a loss. It's a lesson to me. That's how I always look at it. All right, guys. So this brings us to the end. Mr. Ojo, I really appreciate it. How can people reach out to you, get in contact to you if they have any questions, and talk about your future of what you have planned?
All right, bet. So you can reach me at Ojo Cinco, OJOCINTO __ at Instagram. I'm also a real estate investor, of course, as you can see. I'm a real estate agent. My parents are in the business. My dad's a broker, a real estate broker. And my mom's a mortgage broker. So all facets of real estate, I pretty much have a good handle on it. As far as looking into the future, as far as investments, I'm looking into commercial a little bit more, or a little bit. Probably leveraging my property, the current properties I have now, and try and go for something bigger, something like a retail spot or a strip. And so with commercial, it's not really like residential. They don't look at your personal finances; they look at the asset more. So we're looking into commercial. I guess you can call it misconception too, is that you don't have to be in the best situation to go buy a commercial property. As long as it's a good and fulfilling property, you have experience managing properties before, you should be able to qualify to get into commercials. That's what I'm trying to do now, and be able to work with businesses rather than people.
Guys, make sure you reach out to him. This is going to be my plug going forward in real estate. You guys are going to see more coming soon. Now, with that being said, I want to conclude the video. If you made it this far, you're a real one. This is a journey. And as you guys always know, move with purpose, have purposeful thinking, and I'm out. Thank you.
Appreciate